Hello, CyberMaster fans. Thank you for joining us for another evening of our wonderful show. It's a tech show. We talk about ethics. We have an incredible guest here, Philip Armand, who happens to be a hypnotist and quite trained in NLP. We're going to be talking about mind hacking and the technology of the mind and how it all works. Thank you for joining, guys. You see my orange studio. I'm making some camera improvements. I'm constantly trying to make the show better so everybody gets a lot out of it, right? So does anybody know any hypnotists? Have you ever talked to a hypnotist before? Well, this gentleman here actually had a license for being a hypnotist. Very interesting stuff. NLP. Has anybody heard of NLP? Or even brain hacking? I mean, along with all this crazy technology that's coming out, you got to think about what it's doing to your mind and how your mind's going to be integrated. Not even talking about the Neuralink, right, Phil? Philip Armand, welcome to CyberMasters. Please introduce yourself. This is your second time on.
It is, yeah.
Excellent. So, yes, you do many things.
I do. And I don't practice anymore. I was NLP trained. I was trained in hypnosis with the National Guild of Hypnotists.
National Guild of Hypnotists.
That's right. Just one of the two guilds that certify hypnotists. I worked with clients. I did house calls. I was one of those guys.
House calls.
I did, yeah. So I would go to my clients, which was interesting.
Hypnosis house calls.
Hypnosis house calls.
So you can call a hypnotist and then make house calls. They'll come to your house.
In my case,
you look like a doctor with an overcoat and everything?
No, I look just like I look.
Okay.
We're non-doctor looking people.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all kind of in disguise.
And what do you do as an on-site hypnotist when you do a home-site visit?
It depends on what the client wants. I can tell a quick story of what happened in one case.
Please, yes.
So one person was recommended to me, and she was very much believed in hypnosis because she had stopped smoking using hypnosis 20 years earlier. And she was suffering from severe anxiety problems.
Okay.
This woman had been hospitalized consistently for a decade, at least once a year, because of anxiety.
Wow.
She would go into full panic attacks.
Wow.
Enough to go to the hospital.
Hospitalized for anxiety.
So a mutual friend said, my friend Philip is doing hypnosis. Maybe you'd be willing to work with you. And she said, absolutely. I never thought of that. I quit smoking 20 years ago with hypnosis. I think it'll work. So I went to visit her. And very often when somebody wants to work on an issue, it's the symptom they're wanting to resolve has nothing to do with what they think is causing the result, in her case.
So they're hiring you to be a hypnotist for one thing, but most of the case ends up being something completely different.
Completely different. Just to highlight that point, I used to know this guy, and he said, hey, you do hypnosis and NLP. Can I get a session with you? I want to work on some business stuff. He wanted to be the top salesman in his insurance firm.
Okay.
That's what he told me. I said, absolutely. So he comes the day of the session, and he sits down. I go, tell me again, what do you want to work on? And he said, I'm almost at the top. I want to be the top. I want to blow the top of the top off the lid of this,
He wants to be the
company,
best insurance agent that
in his
ever
industry,
lived.
in his niche. And I said, oh, that sounds great. But he said it like this. He very specifically said, I'd like to be the top of the top of the top insurance guys at my firm.
The toppity top of everything.
Exactly. But he did this. And I asked him again, I go, just again, and maybe some different words, explain to me what you want. He said, I want to be the best guy at my insurance firm. I really, really want to be the best guy at my insurance firm.
Wait, what's with the collar?
Right. So now I'm looking for a pattern. That's why I asked him multiple times, because I want to see, is this an accident? Is this thing an accident, or is he trying to tell me something?
It's a twitch. He's got a twitch.
He doesn't have a twitch. So I did, with a very high-level body language specialist, I did a training. And the training was pretty extensive. And it explains when you start seeing patterns, like somebody brings up their mother-in-law, and they're always doing this. I had a friend recently talk about a client. And every time the client came up, she would go, every time. And she wasn't talking negatively about the client. And I said, oh, you're pissed off about this. And she goes, why would you say that? I go, well, something's really not good with you and this client. She goes, how would you know that? And I go, I don't know. Is there something wrong with you and the client? She goes, yeah, I'm really pissed about it. I go, yeah, because every time you bring it up, you touch your nose. So the closer you get to the tip, often the worse it is. So let's say you're slightly bothered. You'll see somebody, but again, sometimes you're just itchy. But if you start bringing up the same thing repeatedly, and now they're like constantly going for the nose when you mention that thing, the body doesn't lie. This is the most primordial
Why
part
the
of the
nose?
body.
What's the deal with the nose?
They say most primordial part of the body. So you'll see when they're really pissed, they'll go like this. They'll flick like they're flicking something off their
like
nose.
a booger coming out of the nose?
Like a booger, but there's no booger. And unfortunately, you can't hide it. When most people, it's so built into our DNA, I guess.
You don't even realize you're doing
People don't realize they do it, and almost everybody does it. So when the dude went like this and like this and like this repeatedly, he did it more than twice. I said to him, "Okay, so you are in a relationship?" He says, "Yes, I have a girlfriend." I said, "So you don't want to make more money. You're having a pissing contest between you and your girlfriend at home, not getting enough sex, and you're trying to best her in the income department." And the dude went like this. "Is there a sign on my back behind me?" Like, well, huh? He was confused because he told me this thing here, you'll see men at bars. They will out-alpha each other by touching their collar. It's usually the last guy who touches his collar is the alpha.
What about T-shirts?
The weirdest thing. They'll touch the edge of their T-shirt.
Really?
But business guys, you'll see they're like hanging out. They'll rub their collar. And you have this whole dance. If you watch at bars.
And it's competition is what it is.
The last alpha dude touches his collar. So when he's trying to, every time he mentions the firm and the money, he's touching his collar. So that just tells me maybe at work he wants to be the top guy and there's some competition at work. But then when he did this, he gave himself away.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. So you're saying when men go like this, it's a sign of competition at work?
It could.
Really? Completely unconsciously?
Yeah, or within that group you're at. Let's say you go out with a bunch of colleagues at work, you're at the bar now, and you'll see dudes like, "Hey, how are you?" Touch each other. They'll like adjust their collar. And usually the last one that does it has asserted his alphaness.
The last collar toucher is the alpha male.
Right. And this doesn't happen all the time, but you'll see it enough to realize like this is a thing. It's an unconscious thing.
So what does the ear do? What is the ear?
So ear is sex. So I was at a restaurant not so long ago, and a guy was with looked like his wife, maybe, and they weren't talking, and every couple of minutes he'd look at her, and every time he looked at her, he'd stick his finger in his ear.
Yeah, but maybe he had something in his ear.
Could be, but every time he looked at her, he had something in his ear. You see what I mean? You're looking for a repetitive pattern. So when the dude went like this repeatedly, and he didn't touch this is a slight issue. This is a big issue. He's jamming his finger in his ear.
The deeper you stick something in your ear,
the deeper the sexual
bigger
issue.
the sexual issue.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he went like this finally, which means not only am I trying to, there's an alpha issue at home, like we don't know who's in charge. There's no sex, but I'm pissed about it. So when I said it back to him, like, you're having an issue at home, you're trying to best your woman with money, there's no sex.
Wait, you learned this in hypnotism or NLP? How did you learn this?
The actual cues, physical cues, are from body language training, from a very good body language expert. And then the rest, you bring it together because NLP gives you some, and hypnosis, other things. There's other modalities. Obviously, you learn all these ancillary things as you go along.
Okay.
So we worked on the dude's relationship with his girlfriend. We didn't work about money. We didn't work about insurance sales because that's not what he was there for. He thought he was there for. He was going to out-alpha his girlfriend by making more money at work. But the issue was he was unhappy at work. He's not getting sex. He's pissed about it, and he doesn't know who's in charge. Guess what? Never came back. It was successful.
Why are those body parts the selling signs? Why are those three? You got to go a little deeper. Why?
I don't know.
Why is the nose?
Well, they say this is the most ancient part of your body. So when they watch a baby develop, it seems like this part is so ancient that it has very much like deep roots in development. I don't know what that means. That's
what about the finger in the ear?
They don't know, but they know that when they've analyzed people and they've started asking questions, they can link this with sex. Again, I don't know how the magic works, but
you're sticking something in a hole.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's very literal in one way, but they don't really know why this. I mean, you could stick your finger in your mouth or your eye, I guess. But so there's different.
Can you hack your brain to stop doing that?
Oh yeah. Once you're conscious of it, you could either do it on purpose or not. One of the reasons I took body language training is because I was dating at the time, and I was really curious about physical cues.
So body language training is part of hypnosis training.
It's not. Most hypnotists don't learn body language. I was just fascinated by what people did because I saw people do things over and over similar. And I was like, what does that mean? Even crossing your legs in a certain way unconsciously tells somebody your intentions.
Well, I heard that if you point your body at somebody during a conversation, you're directing your stuff towards them, right?
You could. I mean, if you cross your legs, if you cross the leg closest to the person underneath, then this opening, this little triangle you create with the other leg is an invitation versus blocking where your leg closest to the other person is on top. Even
so depending of how big your legs are open is...
Yeah. There's so much nuance to it. You could start using it, and good people do.
But what if you can't close your legs all the way because you're heavy, you're big?
Then you probably need hypnosis for weight loss. Yeah.
It's a sign for hypnosis for weight loss.
Even let's say this table, right? If we split this table down the middle, unconsciously, that's your half and that's my half.
Okay.
So if I want to, let's say, make a business deal with someone or score with a girl, I don't know, whatever you would use it for, you could slowly start sliding one of your objects across the table.
Wow.
Unconsciously, you're now in their terrain. But you obviously don't do it as obviously as I just did with my teacup. But you could have keys or something at a restaurant, like your placemat or your fork or your utensil, something, and slowly slide it across. You're kind of saying, hey, I'm in your zone now. What are you going to do? It's very interesting.
So salespeople should take body language training.
Certainly they could. Yeah.
What happens if a sales guy takes hypnosis training? Is that bad?
Most high-level sales training is NLP. They may not call
so
it
NLP. Can you describe NLP and what that means?
Without getting into a deep history, there's dudes who created this thing. The lore has been erased, so now it's two dudes, John Grinder and Richard Bandler.
Now we have it up on the screen here. It says Neuro-Linguistic Programming. An approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder in California.
Yeah.
What does that all mean? What do you mean by that?
So these guys were studying, psychology, and Richard Bandler was he was a student, but he was also a research assistant. So he was transcribing this guy Fritz Perl's talks. They were on reels, audio reels. And Fritz Perl's basically a Gestalt therapist, explained NLP. But again, Richard Bandler knew how to package it. Like he was a maverick. They say
It sounded good when he said it.
Oh, yeah. Any big movement requires three people. They say it's a maverick, a connector, and a salesperson.
Okay.
Well, NLP had the three people. And this guy John, who's been written out of the history of it, John Grinder and Richard Bandler. Richard Bandler was the maverick. He saw it. He could put it together. He didn't create any of it per se, but he put it together, packaged it. Okay. He brought in John Grinder, who explained why it worked. He was a professor there. And this other guy was basically the connector of all these pieces.
Okay.
And they created this movement. It fell apart in a lot of ways and has been rebranded. And Tony Robbins took it and did his own thing, and lots of other people did.
What did Tony Robbins do with it?
Well, Tony Robbins is a trained hypnotist and a trained NLP master.
Really?
Who's, he wrote his first book. It became bestseller. Thousands of people were coming to see him in his events. And then he got sued for basically using NLP without paying royalties. Let's simplify the story.
So he was using NLP and he didn't pay any royalties for using that method, if you will.
Right. He signed a contract with the NLP people, Richard Bandler specifically, that he would give $200 for everybody he certified in NLP.
And he agreed to that by contract.
Yeah, as you have 1,000 people show up, as far as the NLP people are concerned, you just certified 1,000 people. I need $200 a person. Well, he didn't pay it. So he sued Tony Robbins, and it got settled for an undisclosed amount. And Tony Robbins, instead of Richard Bandler being smart and saying, hey, this thing is changing people's lives, let's let a guy like Tony Robbins, he's a salesperson, let him
get it out there
and change the world. He screwed himself. So what did Tony Robbins do? He went and just changed the name of the thing he was doing. So it's NLP rebranded, and he obviously added his own flair.
What does it call it? The Tony Robbins experience or something?
I don't think he has a name. He actually has a name for it.
Really?
And he did change it, yeah.
Really? So was he a hypnotist first or then?
Yeah, he went to hypnosis training, yeah.
He also went to hypnosis training?
He did, yeah.
How long did you go to hypnosis training? How long is the training?
I went for, I don't remember. I think it was a 6-month training.
A 6-month training, and you come out as a licensed hypnotist. You get a license. I'd seen
They
it
do,
before.
yeah. They give you a license, yeah.
And the license allows you to do what?
Nothing. I mean, you could go hypnotize people without a license, but it shows that you're credentialed. You've been trained in proper methodology and being a therapeutic hypnotist.
So you can charge for the service legally.
Yeah. I mean, there is no laws about it, so you could charge without having a license.
So I could say I'm a hypnotist and charge
You could.
and be okay? Really?
Yes, yeah. And as a matter of fact, I tried to see if there's liability insurance, and there's like one company somewhere is like, yeah, $100 a year at the time. It was like maybe 100 or 200 a year. And I said, really?
Well, what could go bad? Somebody doesn't snap out of it?
Well, they said that no one ever been sued for hypnotizing somebody because it doesn't exist.
Really?
That's what they said. So I talked to a friend of mine who went to an Ivy League school and studied things in the psychological realm, and he says, "Oh no, as far as like psychology and the schools are concerned, there's no such thing.
Really? There's no such
There's
thing?
no such thing.
But the power of suggestion works in advertising and everywhere.
That's why there's no such thing, because we're probably all being hypnotized, and they don't want us to know we're being hypnotized. I mean, that's my conspiratorial mind, but the fact that you can't get sued hypnotizing somebody."
But it was proven that hypnosis works in the advertisements they put in movie theaters in the 50s. It was proven. The facts were there. More popcorn was bought.
There's so much evidence pointing to what the mind is capable of that I don't think they want the average person to know. When I was training to become a hypnotist, I bought a library of books. One of them was very dry. It was basically a research study on like crazy things that the mind can do. And they were all well documented, people in hospitals specifically, who had miraculous recovery, or they dropped dead, or some other weird thing. Some of the weirdest ones, they've documented, very well documented, somebody who had multiple personalities, who one of the personalities had cancer, and the rest did not. So here they're hospitalized for like terminal cancer.
So wait, somebody has multiple personalities, but only one has cancer?
Yeah. Figure that one out. So when the person would switch to a different personality, their blood would be different, and the tumors would visibly, by the medical staff, documented, start shrinking. Because that person...
The physical nature actually changed.
Yeah. From a personality shift.
Really?
The other really well-documented one was...
Talk about power of suggestion.
Oh, yeah.
That's really working.
There was a dude who had an illness. I think it may have been cancer, some weird form of cancer. And he's going for treatments, and he's dying. It's not working. So the guy starts reading medical journals because he was a nerd, and he goes to his doctor, says, "Doctor, I finally found this article. There's this new experimental therapy for my specific cancer, and it's telling me that I'm a likely candidate based on whatever." So the guy looks into it, the doctor, and he realizes this dude is not likely candidate. He's way too far along. This dude's going to drop dead. So he did something unethical to the doctor. He basically initially told him no, which was honest, and the guy didn't want to hear no. He's like, "No, you have to make this happen." So the doctor was like, "I'm going to have to lie to the dude because it's like his only little hope this dude has." So he lied to him. So he put him in a fake trial. He gave him saline injections of this product.
Okay.
Got a miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
But that's not the end of the story.
Okay.
So the guy, like a schmuck, who wasn't a doctor, but decided to keep reading the medical journals, and he finds a medical journal like a year later that says the trial was a failure, and they're basically not creating this drug because it didn't work. Well, the dude was in the fake trial. Cancer came back, and he basically was dead within, I think, 6 or 8 months.
Wow. Okay.
From reading the medical journal.
From reading the medical
he got
journal.
A nocebo.
But as long as he believed he was cured, he was okay.
Yeah.
Once his mind said, "Well, wait a minute, it was a fake," cancer came right back.
And again, could it be coincidental? Yes. But there's a whole book with these. They're anecdotal, but some of them are well-documented anecdotes, where you say to yourself after reading this, like, this can't be nothing.
But hold on. It was proven that these experiments with the movie theaters and the popcorn, they would put these subliminal messages into the ads, and people bought popcorn 3 times as long. I mean, the power of suggestion, subliminal messages, was proven right there scientifically, I remember.
No, it works. Yeah, of course. Yeah. No. It works. I mean, we're watching TV, we're looking at ads, we're looking at our phone, things are popping up. You'd be foolish to think they're going to spend money on things that don't work. Let's be foolish.
So is the hypnotist using the power of suggestion to turn somebody's mind? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, we don't...
Is that why you have to, like, you got to believe, so not everybody can be hypnotized, only some can be hypnotized.
It's true. Although I did have a client who wanted to lose weight. He comes and he's like, I can't be hypnotized. He almost came, like, to taunt me. I said, well, maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not his paradigm. To me, it's a permission slip. So maybe anything would work. And hypnosis was not his permission slip to accomplish whatever he wanted to accomplish.
Oh, I see.
So he came to me, but tauntingly. And I said, well, we could try. I don't know if it's going to work. What do I know? He sits down. The dude was in a trance within minutes, like the deepest trance I've ever seen.
But he had already talked himself into
So it worked.
not being able to be hypnotized.
It worked. And when he came out, he says, I can't believe that worked. But then he said, but I don't think it's going to work for my weight loss. I said, well, deal was he'd come back 3 sessions, and he didn't. He came back 1. But eventually he lost weight for whatever other reason. So
the weight loss and the weight issue came from somewhere else in the first place.
Yeah. I'm saying he was going to use something else as his reason to lose the weight. Or his, motivational underpinning. I'm doing it for my wife, my children. We need a good reason for things, right? I don't feel good, and the world hates me because I'm fat. Make up something and then motivate yourself into it. Hypnosis wasn't it. Some people are like, hypnosis did it. That's my reason.
How many people in the world go to hypnosis compared to other self-help?
I don't know.
For smoking
Very
and
few.
food?
Tiny.
Why is hypnosis used so little when everyone knows about it? Do they think it's fake?
I think so. I think we were convinced of people in white lab coats knowing best. I think people, not many, but most people are fairly narrow-minded. Not in a pejorative way, but narrow-minded.
Unless you have a lab coat on, you're not effective.
Yeah, you're not an expert, or even if you're a licensed, it's like a woo-woo weird thing, because it is a little weird. A guy's going to relax you and tell you stuff. And we don't tell our clients what we want them, what we want to say, because it's ridiculous. You ask them what they want, and you give it back to them. I had a guy, actually worked for me. He had rage issues. Like rage, like he would plot murders. He wouldn't commit them, but he was so, like, he would get so enraged about the injustices of the world and his life that he would, let's put it this way, he once cut an ex-girlfriend's brake lines in the middle of the night, hoping she would drive into something. And then, an hour later, he was like, what have I done? And he went back in the middle of the night and fixed it.
Can more serious illnesses like schizophrenia or psychopathy be resolved through hypnosis? What about that?
Well, they think they can. Well, this guy with the rage issues, for instance, he comes to me and I said, well, how would you rather be than enraged? And he said, I'd like to be a happy camper. He told me that.
So he wanted to be happy.
And I would never use the word happy camper. But I said, you want to be a happy camper? Yes. That was the most inspiring thing he could come up with, which to me is cockamamie. Happy. All right, you want to be a happy camper. And I just asked
What's with the camper?
I don't know. And I said, well, what does that mean? How do you feel? Anyway, I worked with him, and he said he never felt anger ever again like that.
Really?
It took about 15 minutes.
Does he go camping a lot? Was
Never
that
go
a thing?
the camper part, I'm not
Was
sure.
that the camping part? You wanted somebody who knew camping?
And that wasn't hypnosis. That was NLP. We used a trick called collapsing anchors.
So we talked about hypnosis. We talked about NLP. What's the real difference?
Most people say, I've heard this, and I can attest to the fact that much of the work, changing somebody or transforming some aspect of someone's life, happens before the hypnosis. People think they want to be hypnotized because they don't understand what NLP is.
Got it. So
there's
has to be a reality check prior to hypnosis having an effect.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
NLP
almost
has
like
to come first. Wow. Is it possible to say people who aren't in touch or have never had NLP have a greater risk of not being hypnotized?
No, I don't think so. I think I've been hypnotized dozens of times during trainings and afterwards. So no, I don't think so. But what happens is people have this idea, hypnosis will help me. And then you realize you don't need hypnosis. NLP will just fix it. But because you think you need to be hypnotized, well, you hypnotize them. And that has its own benefits. And you could do something called future pacing, where you take that thing that was a problem, and
Future pacing?
Yeah, you put them into a future in a relaxed state. Because hypnosis, you're not like in space; you're just relaxed. In that relaxed state, you let them visualize themselves in a week or 2 weeks or a month or a year in that
What
better
they could
state
be.
with the corrected situation or thing or whatever. So that's helpful. So there's some things that are helpful, but most of it happens. I think I started a story at the beginning with the woman with the anxiety. All the repair happened in NLP, but she needed to be hypnotized after because that's what she believed would do the trick.
So her belief was it would do it. So
right, and
she needed that to fulfill her thing.
And NLP is a conversation. It's not like, oh, sit and breathe. No, you're like, well, tell me about this.
Well, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, just to pull it up again, it's primarily, to get to the bottom of what's bothering you so you can be happy. I mean, how do you describe it?
Well, no, there's different techniques to fundamentally change the way your mind, basically your mind model is set about a certain thing. To delineate that is this, so this woman's got anxiety issues.
Okay.
So I asked her conversationally. I didn't do anything. We sat down. I introduced myself. I asked her what the issue was. Anxiety. Okay. I said, what causes your anxiety? And I said, I don't want to get you anxious because I know you have an issue, but let's get you very slightly anxious so we could see what it is that gets you anxious. Because she couldn't just be like, well, this. Because every year for a decade, like, there must be a big thing.
So she thinks she knows what that's what's causing that,
or she thinks she knows what caused it this time.
It could be something different every time for her.
Could be, but it's unlikely because it's a pattern. But she thinks maybe. So I said, let's get you slightly anxious, just a little bit. Close your eyes. What can you think up that would make you anxious? She started naming things like my car payment and this undone thing and this undone thing.
Everyday sort of stuff.
Yeah, everyday nonsense. And obviously, you're hospitalized because you have a car payment. So she's naming things, and she gets herself a little anxious. And I said, how do you feel? She goes, okay, I got it. I'm a little anxious. She's already given herself away. Most people do this. She's already shown me where she feels the anxiety physically by taking her hand and doing one of these. She's pointing like to her stomach region. She's
shoveling it over to you.
She's showing me which way it's moving. She's actually showing me the direction of rotation of the bad energy. People don't realize that energy moves. Whether it's like an analogy in the mind or physically, they'll show you. Like, oh, my head. Like, they'll do something, and they'll usually spin their arm. It's really weird, but very consistent. So she's showing me, I say, so you're feeling anxiety in your like upper stomach. She goes, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. And again, she's showing me, and it's rotating this way. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it feels like it's rotating this way. So then what you start doing is you start figuring out, because with NLP, you approach anxiety as like a skill. Like, you have the skill to get yourself so anxious that your body will send you to the hospital. That's not a bad thing. It's a talent in a lot of ways, because you could redirect that talent to get yourself in like a super state and dunk a ball or something else.
Yeah.
So we don't look at it as...
So you're saying that the fact that you have that power, it means something good, but it's being used wrong.
Right, because it's a strategy there. And often the strategy will include energy moving in a certain spot in the body. Maybe it'll spread. It'll include showing yourself a picture or a series of pictures unconsciously, telling yourself something. So in whatever order, it might be picture, audio, feeling, but you don't know. So the NLP practitioner has to take that apart. That's all you're doing. Like a computer.
Find the cause.
Find the bad code. And either swap it or mess with it in some way where next time she strategizes, or her unconscious strategizes to become anxious, well, it's missing a piece that it needs to do it. It doesn't have the picture, or it doesn't have the audio, or it doesn't have the feeling.
So you're trying to make the audience believe that there's something out there called NLP, and it's got the ability to literally reprogram how you see things, how you interact, and your belief in the world.
Yeah.
I would say that most humans believe that that's not possible. It's completely impossible.
It's probably true, yeah. I would say most people are mired in their day-to-day, and they think that life is too maybe nuanced, complicated, and just kind of like concretized.
And you're positive, that there's a way to have a world or life reset no matter what problems you've had in your life.
I think for most people, yeah. And it just takes a willingness. I think most people can change things if there's a striving.
People are depressed by the millions in this country.
Oh, yeah.
How can they get over it? How can they work with that?
That's it's a heavy question. I think, again, it starts with striving. You want to get out of it, right? A lot of people, they already have a mental model that they can't. I think that's the first step. There's a bit of hope, which is
But the people in suicide hotline say, yeah, you can. They say that, but
yeah,
it almost doesn't get through to them, if you will.
of course, yeah. I mean, the question is so varied and so nuanced, from biochemical issues, from diet or environmental factors to whatever, your circumstances or bad DNA. But even I think you could even work with that. And much of this is you have the capacity to do a lot of the stuff yourself. Like they say, hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You have to hypnotize yourself first as a practitioner to bring your client with you. So I think if somebody has striving, they're going to find what they need to find to change things. I did. That's why I did.
People in deep depression wallow in it. They don't see any light out.
Of course, yeah.
They become medicated.
Yeah.
Or I don't know why we got on this, but the suicide prevention people trained in NLP generally.
Yeah, I mean, they know something, yeah. There's underpinnings, because NLP is not a new thing. It was, it was created in the 60s and the 70s. But Gestalt therapy was the basis of it. And if you look back, it's got a very long history. The technology, the ideas, they're not new. This guy didn't just, invent it. It didn't fall out of the sky.
How is the media using these tactics to not spread the right message? People are saying the media is abusing their power. Is the media using the right message? And if they're not, how are they abusing their power?
They do have power. They are abusing it. If you think about most of the politicians are trained. Tony Robbins trained Bill Clinton, and he said he trained lots of politicians.
Tony Robbins trained Bill Clinton.
Yeah. So you see these guys going in and helping politicians do things. So they understand their body language, their body movements, their words. Tony Robbins is a salesperson. Mm-hmm. I had my hypnosis professor go to a Tony Robbins thing. He was brilliant. He was selling these programs, $10,000, $20,000 programs at the end, and all linguistic trickery, because it's all built into him. He's not trying to be a evil guy.
Was he training people? Just giving a couple of tricks?
No, like at the end he'd say stuff like, "You, like me, want to change," but you leave a pause. You like me. You know what I mean? That's the message. That's what the subconscious hears. But and he would do.
He's saying you like me, but you like me.
Yeah.
It's like subliminal messages.
So much of that. And
so if you're using that technology for playing somebody against each other, isn't that a negative thing?
It could be. It depends how you think. It becomes intention. Think about it. If you murder someone, it's murder. But if you accidentally murder someone, it's manslaughter. One will get you in jail and one won't. So the intention behind what you do is hypercritical, right? So you could use it to change someone for the better, or you could manipulate people. I mean,
so what is Alec Baldwin doing with this? I shot the guy. I didn't shoot the guy. It's getting all messed up in the media. I don't understand.
More confusion.
Is there NLP hypnosis being used there?
Most
against
of
the public?
hypnosis is confusion. A lot of it is you have to confuse people or overwhelm them, and that's how you can really gain a manipulative kind of stronghold on things. Like if I'm hypnotizing somebody and they want me to give them something but not remember I gave it to them, people will request like something weird. You'll remember to forget and you'll forget to remember. Like you could do all sorts of things. The part that's apart from the part that's listening to my voice will go deeper now. It's so confusing, but it makes sense if you take it apart. But in the moment, the mind is like, what? And then like it'll listen to you because you've opened a little window into a part of the brain that's trying to compute, but it can't keep up. That's why something called, this guy Milton Erickson invented the handshake induction, and you'll see this.
The handshake induction.
Where you go to, shake someone's hand, but instead of engaging, which is unconscious, you grab their wrists and you put them in hypnosis, because now you've done something out of program.
Oh, I saw that on TV. Grabs the guy's wrist like that.
Yeah. You're doing something out of an unconscious program. Shaking hand is unconscious. You've done it so many times that if somebody does something weird, which good salespeople do, they'll say weird things, your unconscious opens up and you could stick a program in like sleep.
Wow, I think I've been doing some of that unconsciously by accident in my sales.
People do it all the time. You'll hear people say really weird things and then they'll stick something in there.
So I got to tell you this interesting story. I was with Andrew on a big sale and I felt very confident. I walked in and I was like, yeah, guys, I'm ready. I start talking my thing and the owner goes, I've heard a lot about you, Mr. Nutella. Just do me a favor, don't curse. Oh, man, I was sweating. I couldn't hold on. Ended up cursing at the end. I couldn't do it. It was so overwhelming. He punched me right in the face right before I started to sell. What happened?
Yeah. It's like, don't think of monkeys. Don't think of monkeys. It's the same thing. But you could use it in reverse. For instance, when someone comes in with an issue, you say, let's discuss that issue that you had. Right? So
that you had in past tense.
So you play with tenses. You could play with location, like, oh, you used to have that discomfort. Again, I'm not using pain. What's discomfort? The end of discomfort is comfort. So you start picking your words very cautiously. That used to be in that leg. Not your leg, that leg. Now you're dissociating the leg. It's no longer your leg, it's that leg.
It's just a leg. It's not yours.
Exactly. So when you start getting really nuanced in language, you start realizing like, oh, you change a word or two and you fundamentally changed. Like you want something to feel good. You don't go, oh, that heart over there.
So a hypnotist is good at vocabulary in English.
Yes.
A hypnotist got an A in English class.
He's got to catch up. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I gotcha.
So you're
to play on words a little
using time, temporal dissociation or association. You're using physical association or dissociation. That leg, that issue that you had in that leg. It's not warm and fuzzy. It feels like you're talking about some stranger, but I'm talking about your leg. But I'm not saying your leg over there now. So immediately you're starting to mess with people's ideas of what the issue is.
So I guess I've sort of been doing that a little bit my whole life, but I do it because I think it's funny. I do it for humor. Maybe that's how I'm so successful at sales.
It very well could be. Naturally NLPing people.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I had this thing where I'd walk in with two different color pens, and we had this joke of depending on who gets the pen is the person we work with.
Oh.
And it kind of got out there, and people were thinking about this pen. It became this like hypnotic thing with the pen, grabbing the black pen. He starts changing the way he heard about the pen thing. You know what I mean?
You're doing what good comedians do. So if you watch a good comedian, they figured this out. They'll start a narrative working their way towards a punchline on one part of the stage, and they'll anchor part of the story on that stage. Like, my wife, and then they'll walk over here and talk about the work, and they'll come back and continue on the wife and the wife location. Like, they unconsciously, the audience knows when he's standing there, he's going to be talking about the wife.
Does a comedian make a good hypnotist?
Probably. Some of them, yeah. Some of them are fantastic with language, because ultimately good comedians are good linguists, right?
Oh, wow. That's
Look
interesting.
at George Carlin was a master. His vocabulary was ridiculously broad.
They never got hypnotist licenses, but they might as well.
I mean, they're keeping people amused.
Wow. What about people like Elvis and great artists? I guess they're hypnotists in some way.
I think inherently we have the capacity to charm people with language and energy, but we just haven't codified it like somebody who gets trained and gets... point out the tricks, and you're like, oh.
But you're making a good point, though. I mean, they're great at their art, but they were all unhappy in some kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
Elvis clearly showed unhappiness with the way he left us.
Yeah.
And Robin Williams and all these great, incredible people
Yeah.
who had the ability of hypnotizing us, but couldn't change their own mind about themselves. Why?
I've thought about this a lot. I think the crap idea... I think it's a crap idea, now I do, of being sold that we have to be happy is unreasonable, mostly unattainable, on a steady, everyday basis. And I think it's not really what we strive for. I don't think it's what we strive for.
Well, happiness means something else to everybody else.
We're told that's what we're striving for. And most of us are failures, and walking around the failure consistently is not good for humans. I don't think we should be looking for happiness. I think most people are looking for meaning. They're looking for something inspiring, empowering, and it may not make them happy. I know I have a friend who's an exceedingly successful public speaker and author. He gets paid a lot of money to speak in front of groups of people. He's got contracts with everyone from, I think, the State Department to Google, where he coaches them on his specialty. And he's not a happy person. But he has so much meaning and so much intentionality about what he wants to do and accomplish in the world that happiness isn't the goal. The goal is like, I'm going to be on fire and change things. And it's going to be hard, and it is hard. And he's got a family, and that's hard. But his commitment is so much bigger than this nonsense that he's like on fire. When you're on fire, you may or may not be happy, but at least you're on fire about something.
Well, you're talking about a couple of different things because... First, people don't know who they are, and they have to find that. Then they hear they have to be happy, and they have to figure out what that is. Then they have to figure out who's lying or being honest with them. And then they have to find tricks of how to hypnotize them back into whatever they decided was happy in the norm or place they need to be. That's a lot to figure out in 30,000 days.
You're brought into a society here with no education around how this works, this human body and the mind. None. Did you get any training? I didn't.
No, you figure
one.
it out. You figure it out later.
You stumble around, maybe somewhere in midlife, if you don't have a massive crisis, you start figuring out a thing or two, and then you drop dead, and you're mostly not happy in the process.
Yes, we're born and trained as slaves from the moment we hit school.
Right. And the unfortunate thing is, if you were to strive, which is what I did, I'm not saying anyone should or shouldn't, but I did, to understand at least a little bit, I know a tiny fraction of how this works, both in diet and wellness and maybe how the mind works a little bit, you could start saying like, okay, I can leverage these ideas that are out there, they're not hidden somewhere in some deep recess, to make this like a full-fledged being, which is a big deal because most of us are operating at, I thought about it the other day, I said, how many percentage points do I think am I operating at as far as how I'm fulfilling a full life?
How much you're able to give?
Maybe
based on what
5%. Maybe I'm at 5%. So much of my life is, my day consists of just taking care of the machine, you know what I mean? Brushing the teeth, and cooking the food, and getting the things to make myself comfortable at home. It's not, most of it's nonsense. I understand why wealthy people now have chefs and people doing all their nonsense because it takes a lot of time. So I'm maybe at 5%. Maybe I've peaked at 10, 15 at times, but I'm not doing that much. Most of us don't accomplish that much in life, and it's not a bad thing.
So accomplishing everything you want out of life could be
Huge.
5% of what's possible, and that's a lot.
Maybe it's a lot, yeah. So one of the reasons I undertook this is because I'm like sometimes you feel like a waste, you know, like, am I taking up space? Like, what am I doing? Am I changing the world? Am I just going to work to pay my rent and that's it? Like, I'm just just a piece of life doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see like what's going on under the hood, that I've got these unconscious repetitive patterns of every day being the same or like slight variation on the thing.
Thinking the same thing when you hit certain things that happen.
Right. Or hitting stumbling blocks or having same patterns over and over again. You're like, whoa, like, did I choose
You mean
this?
the same thing happens, you always get bit by the dog when you walk by that street.
Right, exactly. Which most people's lives are. You know, I had this job I didn't like. I got this other job I didn't like. I got this other job I didn't like. Or relationships.
It's got nothing to do with the job.
No. So the woman comes with the anxiety.
Hold on, it's very hard to face yourself. People don't want the truth. I want the truth. I always want the truth, no matter how ugly and shitty it is. People can't deal with the truth. They don't want it.
Some. Yeah, it's true for some. I think it's a generalization.
Oh, I want to know where we came from as people. They don't want the truth.
It's. I think that's where the first training needs to be, is toughness training. Mm-hmm. You know, they tried to figure out why all these African runners come from the same region in Africa.
Yes.
And they said, what is it? Is it genetic? What is it? Do they get trained to run around? No. Their ritual is when they become men, they're basically thrown in the jungle to survive, and their pain threshold becomes massive. That's the difference. So that's when they did a full analysis. They said, oh, great athletes, they may have some advantages in muscle tone and maybe some slight.
But they're thrown into the fray to survive. Good luck.
Their pain threshold is so high that they're willing to go beyond what their body tells them. That's the difference between great athletes and not. That's what they've discerned. There's multiple factors, but that's a big one. So I think one of the issues is we're very comfortable in this country, and our pain threshold is pretty low, emotionally and physically. If we were tougher or from a different culture, most of us would probably have a different idea of what it was like to take ourselves apart and be okay with having our identity like shattered a little bit or chipped away at slowly.
Well, I noticed with my NLP training that the ability of going as far down that rabbit hole in the subject as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And never getting tired and having fun through every level you go down.
Yeah.
Like building the studio and the show, there's so many little aspects of it, but you just keep going and going. It's exhaustive to many people, but I love it. It's like practicing guitar. You play that same skill over and over till you're blue in the face, and you just make it muscle memory part of.
Yeah.
But it's fun to practice and do it all and find the next big thing. Like there's a hardware module I got to study to figure out how it works. It's going to take me weeks to figure it out. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
People say there's something wrong with me.
No, I think you're onto something. So I was having a conversation with somebody, and she was telling me, "Oh, I hate doing this. I don't like the mopping. I have to do a lot of mopping."
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I said, the reason I think my business is so good and I have such loyal clients is because I'm okay doing things I hate. And I've purposely gone out of my way to repeatedly jump in when I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Because your threshold of just doing what needs to be done goes online. And when you realize if you just do what needs to be done, you handle the things in life that most people put off. Mm-hmm. Most people put off stuff that takes like 5 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. A phone call or dealing with a bill or some issue. Yeah. So that's. I think you've probably.
I would say I do that all the time.
That.
What does the guy want? What does that guy want? Happened today. I said, you know what? Call him. 5 seconds later, you have the answer.
It's done.
Don't contemplate. Just call the guy and make it happen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But people are so worried about making the call. And what are they going to think?
Because
I don't know. You're going to know, not even think that I really want the answer so we can solve the problem.
Yeah.
What else is there?
You know why? Because there's a mental reality and then there's a real reality, and most of us can't see real reality. Our eyes aren't very good at seeing. We know that now. We know you have a small window right in the middle that sees. The rest is all made up by your mind. So you could tell.
I saw a documentary about that recently where you're literally filling in 80% of your peripheral vision with things your mind is imagining. History. Yeah.
That's right.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. They actually say when the ships pulled up, Columbus' ship pulled up, this might be full lore. The Indians couldn't even see them because they had never seen them before. Their mind had no context for this thing coming, so it created a blind spot. That's why during accidents, you've got all these different stories, and many of them don't match. You're like, what? What do you mean?
Literally blind spots.
They have blind spots. So your memory has to make up and fill in blanks.
Wow.
So your mind basically has to scan for all new things and figure those out. The rest is all made up.
Wow.
Otherwise, it takes way too much voltage to operate. The mind is the most voltage-heavy thing. So if you want to lose weight, think a lot. 30% of your calories are burnt in your head.
Wow, you're saying you could lose massive weight by
thinking?
Just thinking?
Yeah.
Some people think and eat at the same time. Think but don't eat.
I've never seen a fat physicist.
Come on, I've seen lots of movies on HBO. Really?
Name a fat physicist. They all look a little gaunt.
Hold on.
Einstein maybe later in his life.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
He's a little fluffy, but I wouldn't call him fat.
He's lost a lot of weight.
And he's a TV scientist. He's not a real scientist.
Oh, TV scientists are allowed to be heavy? Well, Carl Sagan, I guess, was pretty thin.
Yeah, he was.
Pavarotti, I guess he was.
He wasn't thinking. He was singing and eating.
He was singing and eating. Yes. He could have used a little NLP.
And he had a lot of mistresses and wives.
Let me jump into some really interesting cyber news to coordinate all of this stuff. Take a look at that. Brain hacking. That's the actual term, Phil. Brain hacking is the application of techniques or technologies to affect an individual's mental state. Different cognitive processes or level of function. So that's what you're ultimately saying. There is ways to hack your brain and get yourself in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's as simple as this woman. She's fantastic. She's got a bunch of books written. You can look her up on YouTube, the high five method. She basically realized that if you high five yourself in the mirror, your whole life can change. She's changed many people's lives.
People feel this is unbelievable. Some people find this unbelievable.
Yeah.
Let me jump into our tech news there, since we're moving along pretty quickly here. This is the article I really wanted to spend some time with here. 21 recommended brain hacks from leading neurologists.
Neuroscientists
and neurologists and folks in the industry. And brain hacks. I guess that means a few different things to different people.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of go through this list. It's pretty interesting what they talk about. Number 1, use the memory palace technique to remember difficult lists. Very interesting. So it's an ancient Greek term for technique for memorizing difficult things. Make a list of whole things. So you do want to memorize difficult things. One of the interesting things that happened to me is I was in a bad car accident. And I went to a place called Abilities where you did this like brain reorganization thing, and they literally gave you a picture and you have to make lists of what you saw. It was part of the brain reorganization factors to make lists and remember this stuff. You know? What do you think about that? Any thoughts on it?
No, I do. There was actually a good story again in an NLP program. They pick out people who have amazing abilities, and one woman said she could remember names really well.
Okay.
I said, well, how many names? She goes, pretty much any name, anyone's name, people's names.
Okay, right.
Well, that's amazing. So there's about 100 people in the program. So get the woman to the front of the class, and people say their name, and she gives it back to them. Mm-hmm. Every single one, all 100 of them. Well, now the question is, what did you do? Very simple. She sees a person's face. She draws a cartoon version of them in her mind, and then writes their name above or below their face, and then files it away. And like this article even says, it says, we remember images better than words.
Yes, yes.
So she's anchoring an image that she drew in her filing cabinet and is able to pull it up, and there's a face. I see the face. I have the face in my mind, and there's your name written above it. So,
well, that's the fun part about running lists in your head. You're visualizing a thing, you're listing it, you're visualizing, listing it.
Yes.
You know, it's to some people, it actually brings a lot of pleasure to kind of just run through that in your head.
And it's funny because I watched your eyes moving, and that reminds me is your eyes will move to different places depending if you're visually remembering, audio making something up or checking in how it sounds,
how the brain works,
or creating a visual situation, like making up an image. So that's how you can catch people lying.
But hold on, I've got like 18 things going on at the same time here, so maybe I'm not in the perfect example.
No, you're not a perfect example, but even the eyes, you'll see when someone's making up an image, you'll see where their eyes go, and you'll say, oh, they're making an image, or they're remembering an image
because of the way they're using their
if
eyes.
If anyone's interested, you Google NLP eye accessing cues.
NLP eye accessing cues.
And you'll see charts of which direction and what it means. And that's accurate for most people, like 80-something%, almost 90.
Number 2, link memories together to create content. So now you've made these lists, and they could be memories, right? And what's the point of linking memories together to create content? I guess I do that. I have a personal timeline in my head of when things happened.
Because we remember narratives. We don't remember pieces. Right?
It's got to fit into a timeline.
A story,
otherwise.
You tell yourself a story, Like, right? You said you remember timelines. I bet you there's what happened before, what happened after, and what happened during. So now you've kind of created a floating object as opposed to something that could just sink into the memory hole.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I figured like there's me before and me after. There's certain differences, and that timeline has value in how I perceive how I lived life.
Yeah, sure.
Avoid blue light at night.
Oh,
that's a big one, Phil.
That's a big one, yeah.
Why the blue light at night?
Well, it stimulates part of the mind that, see, a blue light. So generally the sky is very blue. So you do want blue light, but you want it the right time of day. So by the time you're asleep, you don't want to activate the part of the brain that's like, I need to be alive and awake. Cause
the blue light will make you feel like you want to jump up and be awake?
Yeah, because in the middle of the day, you've got about,
it's like a little tiny blue light? It's
10,000 degrees Kelvin. So you've got extremely blue light. That's the color temperature outside. So now all of a sudden you're trying to go to sleep where your sun's going down. It gets really warm, the sun, right? Really, really red. So they say now if you're going to do lights, like in my bedroom, only real incandescent light bulbs. Not
the light LED. Will help you reprogram and hack your brain.
Or candlelight even.
Or candlelight, geez.
So I burn an oil lamp in my bedroom and I turn my lights off.
Well, people think it has a relaxing effect. You're saying it has much greater of an effect.
Yeah, much greater
reprogramming effect.
Yeah. They actually say that you should get the light of the sun, natural light of the sun, directly in the eyes, no sunglasses, for a few minutes each couple of hours because the light is changing throughout the day and you need the full spectrum in your eyes. And it changes throughout the day. It goes from very warm in the morning to very blue in the middle of the day to very warmish in the evening when it goes down. And if you're not getting that full spectrum, a lot of people have
problems, real depression issues, if you will.
Depression and light is very strongly linked. Vitamin D with all sorts of issues. Yeah,
really light control.
Yeah,
interesting. Number 4, use your motor system when learning something new. You're talking about that from the beginning of the show. Your motor skills, your body functions, how you're literally using your hands. So let me ask you, in the example of the lady talking about how it's turning, what if she just started going the other way?
So that's part of the story is you're trying to break her skill of making herself anxious, right? Her strategy. So part of the strategy is reversing the spin.
Reversing.
But not only
the
that,
spin.
when people check in, they'll see that that part of the body has a color. So when she said, "Oh, it's not feeling good," what color is it? It was like dark blue. Well, what color would feel better? And they'll tell you, "Oh, pink. Make it pink." And then maybe they can't say, "Well, what color can you make it?" "Oh, I can make it a light blue." Let's start there. Go light blue.
Yeah,
Now, can
yeah.
you, instead of reversing the spin, if you can't do that, can you stop the spin or slow it? And then slowly you work it to a color they prefer, a spin direction they prefer. And now you've broken the strategy of how the energy moves.
So what about this orange? What's that doing to us? This color orange.
Well, there's a whole science of color, obviously, from interior
Oh,
design
you don't like it, all right.
to
Oh, go on.
to psychology, and I don't know what orange does. I mean, I like orange. I think it's great. Monks wear orange for a reason. They say if you want to become enlightened, you wear
Yes.
ochre, and this is an ochre. So
Yes, which is the whole idea.
perhaps you're looking to enlighten yourself.
I need to shave my head. Number 5, play sports or perform activities that produce precise movements.
Yeah, sure. I can see
Why
that.
precise movements? What's the deal with that in exercise?
Well,
Like lifting a beer? you
cognition and movement. For instance, let's say they say if you want to remember something or remember a concept better, do something physically that's different because you're activating neuronal parts of the mind that are not normal, not usual. So, for instance, if I'm trying to learn something, I will start brushing my teeth with my left hand. And that'll actually physically, I'm doing physical movement, but it also activates part of the mind that's not used to.
You're brain hacking yourself
To
by
remember-
brushing your teeth with the other hand?
Yeah. Try it. If anybody wants to remember something, do that. And also movement, physical movement. Obviously, there's more memory in our cells than there is in the mind. So you're activating an entire physiology, not just a couple of brain cells up here. Plus, there's more neurons in the stomach than there are in the brain.
Let's go into the next one. If you want to be happy, keep your expectations low.
Oh, that's good.
Why
yeah.
is that so important?
To me,
That's very important. Why is that?
It's important. It's also a little pedantic, I think. Okay, if you have no expectations, you'll be happy. I don't think that's the goal either. I think the goal is set huge goals, become a happy failure.
I agree. Keep your expectations low, in my opinion. I don't agree with that one. Keep your expectations where you think you belong.
Why not set a goal that's so ridiculously big, right? It's so big that
Because
you
people
know,
say, "Oh, I'm wasting my time getting there."
you know you're going to fail, but at the very least, you're onto something that's massive. I mean, I don't know.
I'm competing with 850,000 podcasters, and I don't care how many podcasters
Exactly.
are out there.
I want to be, I want to have my big audience that loves me, and that's my undertaking, and that may or may not happen, but I'm enjoying the trip.
Number 7, be aware of your emotional states.
Most people are not aware of their emotional
Completely
states.
unaware.
I mean, that's, to me, this request from this article is ridiculous because you're telling someone to go become enlightened.
When you have no idea where you are,
You don't
where
even
you're
know,
going.
most people don't know what they feel. So this is interesting. They did a study on what comes first, the feeling or the thought.
Yes.
And they realized when they hooked up people all sorts of fMRI machines and other crazy equipment, that people will have the feeling before the thought.
That makes sense.
It's so crazy. It's backwards.
makes
People
sense.
think, oh, I thought of my ex-wife, and then the feeling came up. It's almost like the
It's the other
ex-wife
ways.
feeling is there before the thought.
Yeah.
So often we'll feel icky, and then the mind will come up with a reason why it feels
Why it
icky.
feels icky.
It's so crazy.
And attach this picture to
It
that.
could have been
emotion.
last week's bad burrito, but no, it's the ex-wife or whatever just happened.
Well, number 8, put yourself in someone else's shoes. That's very hard if you
Very hard.
are very self-conscious of yourself. You have to almost be selfless and be able to understand emotional states. And you're one of those people, and it doesn't matter.
yeah,
So I would say one of the important things about NLP is that you can live your life and feel really crappy about yourself, or you can live your life and not feel crappy about yourself. And I think that when you don't feel crappy about whatever it is you think you are, and it doesn't matter, just do what you need to, you can become aware of your emotional state and finally put yourself in someone else's shoes, right?
yeah. I mean, I meditate a lot, and I'm aware of what I'm feeling from a detached standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I think either you have to be psychopath or someone who meditates a lot to accomplish that on an ongoing
everyday
basis, because mostly we get so involved in the narrative that we can't see anything besides our narrative. When it's dark inside, the world looks like a dark place. When we're happy, everything's funny or happy looking. This is a big statement.
Next, develop a growth mindset. Well, this is what you were saying. Sure. Where you're growing from. A lot of this, in my opinion, stems from realizing where you are and where you sit in the universe. I mean, I think that without NLP, it's hard to hack your brain because you don't know where you're hacking into. Like you said, you're going into the psychiatrist or hypnotist for one reason, but it's really something else. How do you develop a mind growth set if you have the wrong impression of yourself in the first place? You need NLP to allow your brain to be hacked.
It could. I mean, on a very basic level, they did a lot of studies, but one I was listening to recently where they took children and they separated them. And one group, when they did bad, they were like, that was crappy. And the other one, when they did bad, they said, that was really good that you tried.
Yes.
And the outcome was obviously, as you could imagine, the ones that were encouraged just overall did better. When this one teacher took her kids and ranked them in order of smartest to dumbest in the class, the smartest one really failed badly because the expectation was high. And the dumbest was like, I'm dumb, why bother? So, growth mindset in a way is kind of changing your mind about what you think you are, which is also very challenging, can be challenging, but telling yourself like,
it starts with belief. You got to believe.
A little bit of faith initially, because you may not have evidence for the thing.
Wow.
But you have to sort of tell yourself, you can maybe gather evidence from outside you. It's good to read biographies.
Does religion give you that edge to start off with?
I think for some people.
For some people,
if you have that paradigm and I know lots of people who are religious and their faith is really strong, despite evidence.
Yes.
Which to me is amazing. Faith is good.
But it gives them the faith that potentially they can get there. They can accomplish what they want.
Yeah. I know lots of Christians that they pull off amazing things because they have strong, not only devotion, but faith.
Number 10, make sure your environment is conducive to conductive to your needs. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, you know.
Don't have a sloppy desk.
You got crap all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. You're constantly distracted with things.
But not only that, you've got physicality. Your body's got to be kind of in order.
Your body's got to be in order.
On a broader space, besides your home and maybe your car and your bills and all the things that clutter up our minds. Think about if you have a to-do list stuck in your head, which is the next one, offload info onto a planner.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Number 11, offload information to a planner. Don't keep it all in your head.
Yeah, keep it on your head. I mean, I know when I have a to-do list in my mind, it's a disaster. So I have a simple notepad on my phone. I just write it on there and I forget it. And then I do work hard meditating to make sure my mind is not on my tasks. Because then there's a good parable about this. There was two monks walking and they got to a river and there was a woman on one side of the river that they were on and she needed to cross. So the monk said, well, I'll help you across. And he picked up this woman and carried her across. And he put her down and she left. The other monk was aghast because this is a monk who's not allowed to touch anybody. He touched the woman. He carried her across. So he didn't say anything, but they walked for several hours. And then the monk said, that woman, you touched the woman. The monk said, what woman? He goes, the woman at the river. He goes, I put that woman down 2 hours ago. You're still carrying her?
Wow.
So that's what we do in our mind.
Yes.
Something happened and we still have it loaded up there.
It's still up there. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not a powerful stance.
Yeah. Schedule your time in advance. Understand time control and time management. Why is time management so important in this?
I think most people have if you were to dissect your mental model of what you think about time, you'd hear a lot of people say there's never enough, which is just an idea, right? And then their world looks that way. They're always rushing around.
Lack of abundance.
Or I'm always late, or there's never enough time, or whatever that thing is that you say to yourself. It's really not true. It really is schedule your time. There's enough time.
It's time management.
You have the same time I have.
Well, people said that to me.
hours, right?
So my guest last Wednesday, how do you make the time to all this? I said, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I just make time for all of it.
Right, exactly.
I make time for all the things in my office. I make time for my family. Make time for my hobbies. For learning this. It just
Schedule
it doesn't. I don't feel like it's causing extreme stress.
I noticed
It goes in blocks of time on a calendar.
Yeah.
In a calendar, on Google.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, on Outlook, which was invented, I don't know, 40 years ago. It's so simple. It's all right there.
It's all right there. There's the time. I noticed when something's important to someone, they find time. It's a weird miracle. I never thought I had time. Oh, I can't meditate. Now I meditate several hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up 2 hours early to meditate. Guess what? There was 2 hours there the whole time before I had to go to work, and I go to work early. So you wake up at 5:30.
People are like, oh, well, I need my sleep.
Right.
Everybody says without 8 hours of sleep, you're gonna.
Which is what
People
I used to
sleep
say.
8 hours a day and still feel crappy about themselves.
Yes, I used to say the same thing. I need 8 on the weekends, maybe 10 to catch up. What am I catching up from? What the hell kind of idea is that? Guess what?
You're catching up.
5 to 6 hours of sleep. I'm much older than I was when I had the 8-hour sleeps. Like,
That's
you
fine.
would
Good
think
point.
I would
Good
need
point.
more.
Good point. Good point.
It's ridiculous.
Do important things when your brain is at optimal performance. I will say that I don't do that. I'll do things when I'm very tired.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm building extra muscle with that. What's your take on that, number 13?
You know, there's a whole circadian rhythm. If you look at the lots of articles about when you're at your optimal, even
Yeah.
pilots.
Yeah.
Pilots
Yeah.
have shorter shift times in the low circadian rhythm.
Really?
windows. So in the middle of the
Shorter
night.
shift
As a matter of fact, there
times.
was just an Egyptian airline flight where they are currently investigating, but the airplane went off radio silence for like hours, and they flew past the destination, and it's fairly likely that the pilots during the low circadian rhythm period fell asleep.
What about the autopilot?
It was on. I mean, it flew itself. But
Oh, gotcha.
what
We have
happens
to
is it gets to the
engage
airport and you're supposed to,
Press the landing button.
or land it manually, and they didn't. They just went past it and flew around for a while.
Number 14, when you get stuck in a problem, do something else.
Oh,
Let
I
it go.
love that.
I totally agree with that. I'll work on stuff and I'll get caught. Put it down, next project. And then somehow the answer comes to me just by waiting.
You see, that's back
We
to
know somebody who lost their car keys 3 days ago.
Yes.
And what we did, we went out to dinner. I said, now that you're in a relaxed state, you're at dinner, everybody's happy, go find the key. Bam, and the key was found.
So what happens is, I think when we have an issue, our unconscious or the superconscious or whatever term you want to use for it, but they say the unconscious is chugging away in there. And I noticed, I was reading.
But why is it distracting you from what you're trying to find?
It's almost like, when you first start something, like a sport, like first time I played golf.
You don't get it.
She was like, you a professional golfer? What the hell are you doing? I'm distracted. Like, there's a bunny and look at the other golfer. I'm like swinging at things and it's like magic because there's no mental model yet that I can't, one. And two, I'm just like having fun with it. And my mind is so keenly aware of what it's doing, even though it's distracted at the same time. It's almost like you got to aim at your goal and then distract yourself a little bit, which is what Douglas Adams says in his books. If you'd like to fly, learn to throw yourself at the ground and miss.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Wow.
It's one of those.
Wow.
Actually, I'm reading.
There's a lot to that to really put it down.
Set
and
your
know
goal and
when
walk
to
away. Yeah,
set
I
your goal
noticed
and walk away.
people who exercise a lot, like bodybuilders, they say they'll stop for like a week in like a heavy regimen. And they'll see gains. It's almost like the body needs time to integrate and catch up.
Yes. Oh, how interesting.
And then I was reading for like the 5th time. There's a great book by Stephen King called On Writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book about writing. And he says when he's stuck and he's screwed up, he just puts it down and goes for a walk.
Interesting. Which leads to number 15, place an object somewhere unusual to remind you of something.
I do that all the time.
You go for a walk, or like you said, you brush your teeth with the other hand.
You could. I think what they're saying is you remind yourself, like I stick my note,
Or you put something
I
in
need to
the
take next to my wallet. Or
Yeah, and you change your pattern. You change your normal patterns.
I think that's
Interesting.
important.
Changing your normal pattern. 16, always leave your keys in the same place.
that's a
Well,
good-
that doesn't make sense. Leave some objects in other places. Leave your keys in the same place. Why?
I mean, some stuff has to be automated in life. I
Okay,
think.
gotcha. So some stuff has to
mean-
be give you assurance. Ensure you get adequate sleep and regular exercise.
Sure, do more walking.
Do more walking. Enjoy your sense of smell.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the smell thing. Learn to meditate. Find time to detach from work.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's a big thing. Everybody's working. So I'm working all the time, but I love working. I really have a great time doing the things that I do. For me, I don't know. Work isn't necessarily stressful. It's complicated. It's difficult. I've learned how to work through a lot of things, but it brings me pleasure. I feel like when I'm disconnected from work, though, sometimes, I don't know, it's not as fun. I feel like a loss of fun. I don't know.
When you disconnect? What do you mean?
Yeah, I noticed, I guess, a psychological issue I'm having is that I've always tried to have a lot of work at fun at work, and I enjoy it, and I'm friends with people I work with, too, but when I go on vacation, then it doesn't seem as fun as when I'm working. Why does that happen?
It's sort of like what happens is you anchor fun. It's called anchoring, where you basically give yourself permission to have certain emotions in certain places.
Okay.
Right? And then
certain emotions in certain places.
And especially men are designed with purpose. Like, we're here to take care of the family. We're here to support our family. Could include your work family, right?
Yes.
So all of a sudden you're at work and your purpose as a man is not present. At least how most men have it. Like, we have to go, we have to earn money, we have to be productive. Like, there's all these ideas societally and, individualistically.
And that brings people not having fun.
And you've also happened to have anchored fun. Not a lot of people have, but you also have
anchored fun
into the idea of I'm gonna be productive. I'm gonna support my staff and my family. And
yes, and that brings
you've
joy.
Nothing like that into vacation. So to you, vacation is being away from all the things that are important to you as a man, a human, and your fun is at work. You've put it there.
And I would say that every time we go on vacation, something screwed up happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm psychologically doing that, but I have a loss of control on vacation.
Yeah. We do that. We'll sabotage ourselves because now we're out of sorts and we don't want to be there anyway. So let's mess it up some. We've got myriad ways of screwing things up. It's amazing. I see people with money issues. As soon as they have money, they make sure they sabotage themselves with an emergency. You notice that?
Interesting.
Or people who are always sick, they'll go and break something. Oh, I sprained my ankle again.
So what does somebody like me do when they're going on vacation and they realize it's not as much fun as being at work?
So when you're at work, how do you feel?
There's always something exciting and new going on.
Oh, that's good. Where do you feel excitement?
Everywhere, in my office, in the house, whenever I'm on the phone or talking to somebody new, it's always a lot of fun. For example, this gentleman called me from a manufacturer in the pharmaceutical industry. It was just so much fun talking to him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to become a client. And the whole prospecting and getting to know him and making him realize how much we care, it's just so much fun.
And where in your body do you feel the fun? If you get in touch with him.
Where in the body do I feel the fun? I guess in my head.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Your head was very animated. Does it have a color, if you imagine it?
I guess orange, because I'm in a lot of orange rooms.
You're in a lot of orange rooms. So you have orange fun in your head. Okay, so now...
Orange fun in my head, okay.
Yeah. Does it move? Does it have movement to it? Or is it just like vibrant orange fun head?
I don't know. It's just
there.
Relaxing and... having fun seems relaxing in a natural state.
So now you're on vacation somewhere, or think of your last vacation. How do you feel?
Well, it didn't work out so good because we got on vacation, and it's very interesting you're saying that. So we got on vacation, and I laid on the bed. I was like, okay, we're here, and my wife takes the kids downstairs, comes back up, and she says, my father just died in Europe.
Oh, wow.
So there's another vacation which ended up being more stressful than normal.
Right.
And it just seems to be a pattern, if you will.
Right. And how do you feel with this scenario?
What who vindicated is my friend Peter. So we were with another couple. We go on vacation with them a lot.
Right.
And we went to the s'mores campfire. And we didn't have any s'mores. We thought they were giving them out there. I don't know. This changed my whole vacation. It was so weird. So we go to the s'mores thing, and me and Justin we didn't get s'mores for the kids. Well, what are we going to do? And I saw my friend, who was another computer business from a few blocks away, happened to be on vacation at the same time, and had a huge box of s'mores and gave them to us, and the kids had a great time.
Oh, that was a good
It was really a very unusual and really changed the whole thing, made it really fun.
Right. I would say, just from a quick thing, if you were to sit down at some point and when you imagine yourself on vacation in the future, is make your head orange and vibrant and happy. on vacation and then do it a few times in like made up scenarios in the
Orange
future.
and happy.
And
Okay.
fun head. Like imagine yourself with your fun orange head. You could.
No, what's interesting
it could
is
be that
so-
simple.
So when I'm on vacation, like, oh, don't use a cell phone. But prospects will call me, and I'll spend double the time while I'm on vacation,
course, yeah.
thinking that, oh, I have no other obligations. I can spend the time now with them.
Right.
And I would say, yeah, I closed 2 deals while I was on vacation.
Yeah. That's funny.
You know,
Yeah,
and that brings me fun. The fact that I can think about that. I would take a vacation just so I could talk to my prospects more.
That's funny. You working vacation. I know. I used to feel guilty for not working. I used to have like
Guilty.
if I wasn't being productive, I had massive guilt. I had to deal with that. But a lot of people have weird anchored things. Like at work, I'm pretty grumpy. You know, I don't particularly love what I do day to day, and I'm grumpy. And the other day I thought about is this helpful? It's not really helpful.
To be grumpy, or
But it is a motivator to change something. So it's not always you want to fix the problem. Fix the problem if you know, to make it more pleasant, perhaps. But a lot of times, you don't want to fix something that's currently motivating you. Like, for instance, insecurity. The most successful people are insecure in some big way.
But why you, as a trained hypnotist, would do work that makes you unhappy or not fully satisfied?
Well, I'm doing hypnosis on a day-to-day basis. I'm transitioning out of doing what I do, which is, you know, doing contracting and craftsman work.
Well, you're really good at that. I don't know, from a previous show, you
Yeah.
built the whole movie theater in this guy's house.
Yeah.
Is that why you do it? Because you're good at it?
Yeah, and I have momentum, and I've got clients, and I've got a schedule. But once
And that brings you happiness, the satisfaction of being
I would say I'm currently
producing this.
less satisfied with what I've done. But I don't want to fix the dissatisfaction. I thought of fixing it, of making myself pleasant at work. I don't want to be pleasant at work because I'd like to change what I do. So if I were to be
You've
pleasant,
decided you don't want to be pleasant at work.
yeah, I don't want to feel pleasant. I don't prefer to be pleasant.
But you work with some nice guys there. How do they feel about this pleasant?
Well, my right hand man is also an unpleasant person. So together we're very unpleasant
You
people.
guys seem pretty pleasant.
We are. We've had a lot of people go running and screaming off the job site.
Okay.
Not that we're like overtly mean. We can be a-holes, but we have very exceedingly high standards. We're both like snobs about how high our standards are. The work we do is really upper end, like upper end. People hire us because there's like no callbacks. The buildings function beautifully. The houses we build. And yeah, it just works for us to be two a-holes together. We like each other. We're fine, but we're very kind of, you know, he's a tough guy and I kind of act like a tough guy. And then most people come in. And
But how do the clients or other people react to that? Don't they feed negatively off it?
I'm nice to them. I'm not rude to them. I'm just, you know, when we're working together, we're unpleasant together. It's not like, you know, and we're screaming at each other, but it's not like, oh, how was your day? Oh, it's not. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Get the thing. You know, some cursing and some throwing of things occasionally.
What I noticed that's very interesting is silence. So we play no music in the office.
Yeah.
And there'll be like an hour or two, people just working on stuff, and they'll be silent.
Yeah.
But there's no uncomfortableness. You
Yeah,
know?
that's what we do
Sometimes
too.
you're in a room, people, it's silent. It's like really
It
uncomfortable.
can be, yeah. We work with no music too. People find it very odd. Very rarely. And very rarely we don't speak. We
To
actually-
stand next to each other for 2 hours, not say a word.
And when you work with somebody as long as I have with my right-hand man, we don't have to talk about everything to get me the thing. Like, he knows what I need. I know what he needs most of the time. So I remember we had, one of my subcontractors had a TV show, home improvement show, or a pilot for a home improvement show. So this big production company that does TLC and HGTV and Discovery Channel shows came to my job site because he had to install something in one of my rooms I was designing. And the producer became enamored with our work. The young guys, and they're doing this cool stuff, and they look kind of hip. And she kept coming like, guys, we should do a pilot with you guys. You guys are amazing.
Okay.
And we were listening to jazz that day and not speaking, just doing our thing. And I said, you see how it works here? She's like, yeah. She goes, nobody talks. We listen to jazz, and that's it. That's how it goes. There's no like madness like these guys. My buddy Mike and his brother would fight all day with throwing and kicking things. And me and Archie are like, yeah, we're not nice, but we're not fighting and throwing things. I go, there's nothing to film. And she was like, she came back a few times, and there's still nothing that interesting. And she left us alone eventually. Take my number. I'm like, I've seen those shows. There's no drama here. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, so insecurity they did a sociological study on why certain ethnic groups are so successful in America. And historically, the Italians and then the Irish come, and then this ethnicity comes, and now the Koreans come. And why are they the primary small business owners, and why do their businesses make so much money?
Do you mean Asians or Koreans specifically?
In this case, right now, the book ended at the Korean, contingent.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to figure out, why do these new groups of people that come to America succeed so well? They come in, they build, the foundation for industries that thrive. There's some Irish and Italian companies that were built when those immigrants came that are still huge now, big construction companies and other industries. And they realize it's because they're insecure. So they realize the main factor in a successful group of people or community is a certain insecurity in society. They come, they don't speak the language, they're not integrated, they're from a foreign land, everything is different. And in order to fit in, they will work 3, 4, 5, 10 times harder than the current people who live there.
It's from the insecurity, really?
Yeah. So if you have many insecurities about where you are, it might not be comfortable for you, but it certainly breeds success. So you start reading biographies of people who are insanely...
Insecurities breed success?
Yeah. People who became insanely successful, you start seeing Einstein was told he was a schmuck and an idiot, right? These people came from some weird upbringing, and they usually ended up in other societies or other countries, or something happened to them that really made them push hard. And it might have been a warm, beautiful upbringing, but some aspect of them is trying to succeed.
So how can someone who's dealing with depression use those insecurities for good? I mean, that's a serious reprogramming.
So back to the woman with the anxiety, because again, anxiety is like depression mixed with a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
So again, she showed me the energy. We played with that. But mainly I wanted to see, what was she showing herself? Mm-hmm. She was showing herself a picture. I could see by her eyes she was looking up to the right like this every time she would get herself anxious. So there was something in her internal field of vision over here. So when you dig a little bit, conversationally, I said, what are you showing yourself? Oh, this, a car. Oh, okay, it's not the car. Oh, my yard. Oh, this. She's naming things. I said, where do you see it? Everyone's answer is the same way. In my mind. They don't see it in their mind. Because how the mind works, it's a projector. We see the world, but you see the world within you.
Okay.
The world's there, but you can only see it in your mind, right? That's where it's projected. So you're seeing...
So she's literally looking up upon her vision.
So I said, if you were to put it outside yourself, where is it? And she does what most people do, it's right there. It was right there. She got that the mental projector was putting it outside of herself. How big is it? Now you ask stupid kid questions. Oh, it's big, like a giant screen TV.
Okay. Does
it have a frame or no frame? Oh, no frame. Is it a moving picture or a still picture? Oh, it's a still picture. Is it full color, vibrant HD? Oh, yeah, I see. It's right there, right? Taking up a good solid third to half of her field of vision. She got where it was put. Her unconscious has been doing this her whole life. She's 60-something years old. She finally got that her unconscious is putting a projector screen here and showing it to herself. So I said, well, you're seeing your car, you're seeing your yard, you're seeing whatever. I said, is there a picture underneath that picture? Oh, I never thought of that. She'd flip it, and there'd be another picture. We did that for 45 minutes till she was pissed. She didn't want to play the game anymore. We were getting close. She goes, do we have to keep going? Yes. Flip. Oh, okay, this. I knew, I'm like, finally she got 45 minutes of me asking, and her getting annoyed. I said, come on, you got to work with me.
Yeah, we're
going to resolve this. My 3 ants. My 3 ants? What are the ants doing at the bottom of the pile? She goes, I don't like it. What, is it making you anxious? Very anxious. Tell me about your 3 ants. They're dead. What about their death is making you anxious? Because everybody dies. They all died alone. Are you afraid of dying alone? Well, I'm not alone. Turns out she's in a 15-year abusive relationship with the same man. She can't leave him
because of
she's going to die alone. So instead, she's now stuck and goes into full panic because she's stuck with this guy. She can't leave, and she can't die alone.
Right.
Well, the mind flips out, doesn't like it.
Right.
What do we do? Again, the strategy is her unconscious has an issue with a boyfriend, sees the picture, tells herself something. So when you see that picture, are you telling yourself something? Yeah, I don't want to die alone.
Wow.
Where do you hear it? Right here. She pointed to her left shoulder. Behind your left shoulder, your left ear. Right behind my left ear. She could tell me, I hear it from behind my left ear. You're going to die alone. So show a picture. You're going to die alone. Dark blue, spinning this way.
Wow.
Full anxiety.
Wow. Okay. You could see the whole pattern.
She showed me her strategy. Always a strategy. And strategies are good. But she was using it for anxiety. I said, here's what we're going to do. See that picture? Let's shrink it. Let's shrink it, and let's put it right there in the corner of the room. Make it the size of a postage stamp. Okay, good. Make it black and white. Can you do that? Yes. Can you make it grainy, like an old black and white movie? Yes. Okay, now, hold it there. It's going to stay there. We're going to leave it there. Yes? Yes. She agrees. I agree. Everybody agrees. Good. I go, now, the thing you tell yourself, can we move it outside? Yes. I said, imagine yourself throwing it in the front yard. Great. Oh, I still hear it. Now it's coming from the front yard. Can you throw it to the neighbor's yard? Oh, I still hear it. Can you throw it 3 houses down? We finally got it where she couldn't hear it. I go, let's change the color. Let's change the spin. What color? Pink. Can we change the way it spins? Yes. Perfect. Does it feel good? Yes. Good. I go, okay, let's go.
This is the power of imagination.
That's all it is. Make yourself anxious. I can't. I go, show yourself the picture. I can't. She couldn't do it.
You broke the pattern.
15 years. Broke up with the boyfriend, retired, moved to Florida, never had anxiety again. 1 session. Hypnosis happened at the end because she thought that's what she needed. But in an hour of NLP, all we did was figure out her strategy. Where's the energy? How's it spinning? What color? What's the picture? What are you telling yourself? Even if I messed with one of the 3, it would have worked. But we messed with all 3. Never had anxiety again. She didn't know that's what she was doing. But 1, I showed it to her, and 2, we messed with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Look, we ran about a half hour long here. This is a great show. Thank you. There's so much more content we want to talk about. But Phil, thank you for joining us. We could talk about this forever.
Probably.
It's very interesting. I think it makes some people upset that they're seeking this happiness and they don't know what it is. And I'm sure people watching this show also are thinking, well, what could these guys tell me about my happiness? I don't know. So what do you say to people trying to define happiness?
1, I wouldn't make happiness a goal. I think it's a symptom of an awesome life. You're just when you're doing something right, you're doing something you're meant to do, it's going to feel good. You can call it happy if you want. I noticed that for myself.
The result of having a what kind of life?
Awesome life, a fulfilled or like full life, being a full life.
Well, you may think it's awesome, but then you look at other people, they don't think it's awesome. He's a celebrity. I'm having, How do you rate the awesomeness? Does it matter?
Well, comparison is crappy because you don't know what the full spectrum of their lives are. So I think that's unfair.
We're not taught how to feel other than religion and stuff.
It's true. I would say 100%. I would say if you could figure out what you want, despite any circumstances. I'll give you one quick story. This woman wanted nothing else than to take pictures for a living. It's all she wanted to do. But she wanted to travel and take pictures. And she had no money. But she had really good camera skills. So somebody once told her, well, did you ever reach out to the airlines? Maybe you could barter. You give them pictures of the cities they fly to in exchange for a free flight. Well, this doesn't help my money situation, but that's a good idea. So she went to the first airline she went to. She offered them this. And they said, that's interesting, came to us. We were thinking of getting someone to do this.
Wow.
They flew around the world, paid her, put her up, and basically gave her a career she was looking for.
Wow.
After one airline. She solicited one airline. She didn't think it was possible. Somebody said, well, reach out to an airline. So put aside all considerations. Say, well, how do you want your life to be? What's your commitment? Even if it's not per se work. It doesn't have to be work. My commitment is to make this world a more peaceful and loving place. Well, every day, wake up, say, my commitment today, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm with, is to make this world a more peaceful and loving place.
When people stab forward, they remember the time when they stabbed and it didn't work.
Yeah. The point is, to the committed person, if he falls 1,000 times, it doesn't matter. That's
Why didn't Edison give up? Why don't these people give up?
Again, committed people are okay with falling down. Fall down, fall down.
It's not that they're learning from their mistakes. It's just that the falling down doesn't affect them emotionally.
It goes back to the pain threshold. And for us, we've put way too much weight on this failure thing. This is a failure. You tried, it didn't work, try something else. But I know a lot of people. I have a good friend who's a very good film director. One film went south, never directed a film again. Right. His pain threshold is so small. I'm an idiot. I've messed up things all the time, big, expensive things sometimes. And my pain threshold is such that I got to go do it again. And that's the difference between successful people and people who are just unhappy because mostly it's fear.
Wow.
I'm going to mess something up. I don't want to try. I'm going to play this little game. Play something really big. F up a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you'll see how happy you are effing up things.
And don't worry about being nervous and like, oh my God, I'm so nervous about it. Who cares? Who cares?
It's tricky. People,
I would say the number one thing I want to leave everybody with this on the show is before NLP, I was really concerned about how big of a dumbass I am. Now I'm an equal level dumbass, and it just doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, it'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
So
Again,
that's very freeing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not hurting anybody.
No, because it's a mental model. Like being a dumbass means I look bad equals pain. It's like this loop strategy that we have. But you see now, just by moving pictures and getting to the bottom of some stuff, it's not complicated. It's almost like childlike questions. Am I showing myself a picture? How do I feel? Like checking in.
And you can manifest a person like that in your life by really wanting it. They'll show up. Somebody like Philip Armand will just magically show up in your life one day and help you with this.
Perhaps. I mean, striving and seeking is a part of it, being committed to changing something. It sucks. There's certain things I don't want to change because my identity is like, oh, fuck with that thing. But
like being not so pleasant at work?
Yeah, exactly. And I thought of changing it. I know how to change it. But then I thought there's something in it. It's not there by accident. It's like a way shower. It's showing me.
Yeah, well, for example, when you built that movie theater, it was a lot of stress, but the result after 10, 15 years is massive. You built a movie theater in a dude's house.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, the outcome is great. Visiting is amazing. The process is not glamorous, and it's dirty, and it's tiring, and it requires a commute and thinking and lots of subcontractors that are reliable or not. So, life isn't pretty. The nuance in every day, brushing your teeth, wiping your butt, it's not, MTV or whatever people are watching these days that make life look like something glamorous. It has to happen. And what's the culmination of all of it? Is it interesting? Is it something to talk about? Does it make you a cool, awesome person? Does it make life better for your community?
Happiness for me means that I'm not in pain. I had a good bathroom event, and I made somebody laugh that day.
There you go. I think your commitment to your business and your employees, it's bigger than you. Anytime people have a commitment bigger than themselves, life is usually good. I notice when people are just like, where's my happiness? You can't find happiness with a relationship with just you and your own little bubble. But if you grow your community, even if it's just your family community, like what's best for me, what's best for my family, what's best for my community, and you figure out what that is, often it'll breed a pretty full life, I noticed.
Wow. To be continued, everybody. Thank you for an excellent CyberMasters show. Hope you left you...